Okay, so let's talk about automation. But wait, before you start thinking about complex code or a bunch of expensive new software, let's reframe this. We're going to talk about creating really simple, mindful systems that actually support the unique way your brain already works. The goal here is to help you thrive, not just survive that never-ending to-do list.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Does it ever feel like your digital life, all the apps, the notifications, the workflows, are actually fighting you? Like you're in a constant battle with the very systems that are supposed to be helping? Yeah, if you're nodding along, you are definitely not alone. And this quote right here, it just nails that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? It's that classic trap. You dive in thinking, I'm going to automate everything and make my life so simple, but you end up with something that's actually more complicated and stressful than where you started. So how does this happen? Well, it's what we call the automation trap. A lot of tutorials out there push you down this rabbit hole, and before you know it, you've signed up for like 5 new monthly subscriptions. And instead of saving time, you're just spending your days managing more and more tools. That dream of simplicity gets totally lost in the sea of new logins and credit card bills. But here's the good news. There is a much better, more mindful way to do this. And it all starts with a really simple shift in how you think. Instead of adding a bunch of new stuff, we're going to focus on basic if this, then that logic to make the technology you already have work a whole lot smarter for you. So how do we actually put this into practice? Well, we're going to use a simple guide for this mindful approach, and it's called the Y.O.U framework. It's a straightforward 3-part toolkit for building automations that are tailor-made for you and nobody else. First up, the Y stands for your unique brain. This is ground zero. Before you even think about automating a single thing, you have to get honest about how you operate naturally. What tools do you just open without thinking? What kind of tasks completely drain your battery? And which ones actually give you a little boost? The point here isn't to chase some perfect system, it's to build around your own real-life tendencies.
Okay, next is O for observe and optimize. This is where you become a detective in your own workday. You got to pay close attention to those friction points. Where do you get stuck? What are those tiny, annoying tasks that are constantly yanking you out of your flow? You also want to observe your energy patterns throughout the day. And trust me, that energy part is key. We're definitely coming back to that in a bit. And that brings us to U, which stands for uncomplicate and understand. The big idea here is to start small. So small. Please, don't try to build some massive world-changing system on day one. Just pick one tiny little pain point, like, say, creating a simple email template for a question you get asked all the time, and solve that first. Simplicity is your absolute best friend here.
All right, so how do you actually do that observe step? Here's a super practical method. Seriously, just grab a whiteboard or even a digital tool like Canva and literally draw out one of your workflows. Then use colors for your energy levels, maybe red for tasks that totally drain you and green for the ones that feel good. Add little sticky notes for where you feel the friction. When you see it all laid out like that, it becomes incredibly obvious where one simple automation could make the biggest difference. What's really at the heart of all this is that the goal isn't just about saving time. It's about reducing something called cognitive load. That's basically the mental energy you burn just trying to manage tasks, remember what to do next, and make decisions. Mindful automation is all about freeing up that precious mental bandwidth so you can use it for the work that truly matters.
Okay, let's make this more concrete. Theory is great, but let's look at a real-world example that shows this trade-off between cost and complexity perfectly.
So check this out. The author was trying to save a few bucks on content repurposing. They canceled a subscription to a super simple tool called repurpose.io and decided to build their own solution using a much more complex one, make.com. Now, the DIY version was technically cheaper in terms of money, but oh man, it was a nightmare to maintain. The cognitive load was through the roof. After 2 months of headaches, they realized the so-called more expensive tool was actually the mindful choice because it saved them mental energy, which is way more valuable than a few dollars. And that story brings us to such a critical idea. Automation should follow your energy, not try to fight against it. This is all about designing your systems to work with your brain's natural daily rhythms of high and low energy. For instance, take a look at this sample schedule. The author knows they have a slow start, so mornings are for low-energy stuff like sipping coffee and planning the day. No deep work allowed. The deep, focused work, like writing or coding, gets saved for those high-energy blocks. And that afternoon break, perfect for admin tasks or just resting. This isn't about forcing yourself into a rigid schedule. It's about recognizing your own patterns and building a structure that actually supports them. So you see what's happening here. The whole game is to use automation to protect those high energy periods. You can automate your calendar to block off time so no one interrupts you. Or, and this is a big one, you can automate the setup for a task, like having a single click open all the right apps and files for a writing session. Even simple things like having your office lights automatically turn off at 9 p.m. can be an automated boundary that tells your brain it's time to rest. Look, if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. Do not automate the creative work itself. Automate the friction. Automate all those little things that interrupt you, distract you, and pull you out of that precious state of flow. That is where the real magic is. Okay, so this all sounds good, but where in the world do you start? The best place to begin is with a super simple, practical check-in you can do before you build any new automation at all. It's called the 2-minute Y.O.U check-in. Before you create anything, just take a breath and ask yourself these 3 quick questions. Number 1, is this genuinely going to make things mentally easier, or is it just complexity for the sake of being clever? 2, considering my real-world energy levels, can I actually keep this thing running? And 3, what's my dead simple manual backup plan for when this thing inevitably breaks? Because it will. This little check-in can save you hours and hours of frustration down the line. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. What is the single biggest energy-draining task in your day right now? And what is the absolute simplest, most uncomplicated thing you could do? Maybe it's not even a full automation to support yourself in getting that task done. That right there, that's where your journey to mindful automation truly begins.